Thanks so much for staying here. This is Breakfast Central. The front pages is up next, and we do have, of course, Mr. Theophilus Akatugba, who joins us this morning. Welcome, and good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good morning.
Good to see you, sir.
Good morning. Let's go straight to the papers as we kick off, but let's remind you that you can be part of the front pages. All you need to do is just feel free to call the number you'd find on the screen and react to either of the stories that we would be taking from the front pages. We'll start off with the very first one. As usual, you know we likely start off with Punch, but I'm not going to go to the Punch first. Let me go straight to the Vanguard. That will be my first paper this morning. So let's go to the Vanguard. Yes, on the front page there, sad story. We've covered this story in the last hour. Niger Flood, 1,249 communities in 30 states. FCT at risk, according to federal government. So they're talking about FCT as well being involved in the flood. COAS, that's Kwas Oluyede, relocates to Benue with PSOs. Action time. That's what it means. That's what we like to see. Insecurity, Tinubu Matawale should be commended for reinvigorating Navy. Uneasy, calm as soldiers, policemen take over Abraka anti-kidnapping protest that happened, if you recall, just a few days ago. And let's take another one very quickly. Federal government saves 12 million girls from cervical cancer in 9 months. That's another story you find there. Presidency to Afenifere, Tinubu's economic reforms, painful but necessary. Pretty much that's all the story you have on the front page of the Vanguard, but I'm just going to allow us focus on one. It's got to do with the fact that the Chief of Army Staff, Oluyede, relocates to Benue with PSOs, killer headers, creating community of widows. Benue women cry out. I don't know if you heard, 42 or 43 persons were killed again. They said all Christians in Benue State. The women came out in protest. They said enough is enough. You're turning us to widows, especially when we lose our husbands. And for our husbands, they're starting to become widowers because you're not sparing anybody. You're also ensuring that you end the lives of the women as well. What do you make of the Chief of Army Staff deciding to head straight to that zone?
Okay, is he just going there temporarily, or is relocated? The word, you see,
yeah, they use the word relocate.
Relocate. So if there's a killing in Plateau, he will relocate to Plateau again.
I don't know.
See, we need to be serious. We have, what is most painful is that we've not been able to put our hands on who are these killers. They kill the women, they're making. We have to find out who are these killers, where are they coming from, who is behind them, what is their objective. If it's really that they are killing in Benue to take over the land, why haven't they taken at least 20% or 100%, 50%? Let's see the progress of those guys against us. Everyone is saying because they want to grab lands or they want to take over, they want to cleanse this. This country should not romanticize these problems. It's got to solve them and nip them in the bud. Let them be a thing of the past. I think something is wrong with Africa. Our problem seems to live with us continually, forever and ever, and everyone takes advantage of it to make a living. We need to change. We need to change.
I agree. I agree with you. I think I like the point you made with that word, relocate. Very, very strong word there. Could simply mean that he's finally moved away from...
No, I've got to go and look at the details of that story. That's what I was reading.
Yeah.
So they said that the Chief of Army Staff will hold strategic meetings. He wants to have on-the-spot assessment of what is going on. He'll visit troop locations and operational bases in the state to interact with troops and boost their morale and fighting spirit. He's also expected to visit the villages that have been attacked and reassure residents of their safety and the resolve of the Nigerian army to protect the lives and property of citizens. And then they now go further to say, while in the state, he's expected to spend some days in the state before relocating. Wait, listen to this line. Wait, please. He's expected to spend some days in the state before relocating back to Abuja.
Can you see this?
What? Relocating?
You see the, yes. So
what's the use of the word? Why do you word relocating?
Yeah, I mean,
to grab attention.
We have to talk to our colleagues sometimes. They have to be very mindful.
This desperation, once the desperation to make a living out of every opportunity, that is what I see in every appearing, either of the news, of the politics, of the politician, just to take advantage of a soft spot. We should be ashamed. Up till now, even the Chief of Army Staff was asking a question, who funds them? We've been fighting this war. It never ends. And the people we fight keep having resources. And if that question is not yet answered, what is the purpose of the fight? Who are we fighting?
Key question. That's very key, because this fight has been long in time memorial, and they've been fighting it, and it hasn't ended. Besides, it's also said, not rumored, because a member of the House of Assembly also alluded to the fact that even some army troops said that they do have the latest gadgets. So
which do they have a country where they generate income? Do they have some assets or resources that they export product? Which nation, which society are they from? Where do they sit down to plot that we are going to Benue? We don't have that, and we are fighting. And we have been fighting.
We have been fighting. It's been continuous. Talking about fighting, Nigerian Tribune is another paper I want to look at.
Yes, the front page of the Nigerian Tribune again still talks about the story of the Chief of Staff. Says Army Chief moves in, deploys more troops, logistics, police relocate. Police relocate again. Police relocate area commander, tactical teams to troubled local government areas. So I would think that the automatic meaning of relocation is they're just changing the location. They're moving their location from one place to another.
I don't think relocate. I don't know.
That's the meaning. So what's the meaning of the word relocate?
No, relocate simply.
So they're just changing your location.
Change that location.
It's just that when we think of relocate in a more permanent term.
Yeah.
But they're using relocating here. Move to a new relocating actually connotes something more permanent.
Yes, well, that's what I was about saying. That the word relocate it definitely means like you are moving from a base, from one base to a base
and that's involved a lot. So if you say someone has gone to assess and will spending time there, or moves in to look and take
like
a closer
moves in, and then steps in to stop
to take a closer look and on-the-spot assessment of what's going on in that community, with a view to making further adjustment to the strategy they've been using before. You know, sometimes we do these things just to create conversation.
Okay.
I am looking at how we can solve our problems, not how we can romanticize and use them for gains.
Okay, still looking at the story about insecurity and relocations. Gunmen kill 16, burn several villages and several houses rather in Plateau communities. Terrorists kill 3 villagers in Kwara. You've heard of the new terrorist sect that has become a topic of conversation now. We first of all heard of Lakra, now is Mahmuda. Where they came from, what their objective is, we can only imagine. Man falls from Cocoa House topmost floor. Oh wow. USSD banking charges to be deducted from airtime, NCC says. Would you prefer that? So instead of them deducting it from when you do the star, whatever transactions to make, either to buy airtime or to do a transaction without going to your app, typically they will deduct it from your account. But now they're deducting it
because it's actually a telecom service. So you're supposed to pay the charge at the point of your USSD usage instead of
so this is a much better...
It's a better option because you make a choice, because the bank seems to charge even if you didn't use it, because you subscribe to it.
Yeah.
So I think it goes for about 6 naira, something.
So you choose to use it, because I think the bank will just tell you SMS charges. They keep charging you even when it's not utilized. And most times they don't remit to the telcos.
The bank charges are killing.
Nigerian banks?
They are killing.
No,
I think we have to look into it.
No, the first thing I sometimes suspect that the economy is not viable enough for the banks to survive.
You think so?
Yes, because they don't borrow. They're not using the resources and the funds available to re-energize the system. A Nigerian bank will not borrow someone because there's a 500 naira unpaid debt to another bank. 500 naira. Maybe just an extra charge. The Nigerian bank would deprive himself of doing business because of the fault of another bank. So such a banking system will rely on charges. The Nigerian banking system makes more money from charges and all other activities that are not proper banking that helps a society to energize its economy. If you don't borrow, how do you want the economy to grow? The Western economies that we're all modeling after, they thrive on huge borrowings, credit extension to the people. But in Nigeria, if you look at the credit of most of the profit and they tell you the sources of the profit. They'll tell you charges for letter of credit, charges for bulk SMS, charges for this. And the interest on loans, the smallest part of their income. So if we don't reorganize, and the central bank seems to be keeping these banks afloat through these charges, and they know exactly what they are doing. They need to revisit it, reduce their income from these areas, and let them focus on using the funds, moving money from place where it is not needed to where it is needed, so that the economy can grow.
Okay. Still on the front page, we're saying Nigeria's $1 trillion ambition at risk without policy stability, MGX chairman says. Mokwa flood, federal government blames climate change on regulated buildings, damage devastating, Niger government says. I want us to talk about this as well. We'll be following up with the story. Our correspondent Joshua Imara is there. We connected with them. The stories, Mr. Akatugba, that we've heard from Niger, they are demoralizing. I recall, and I've talked about this over and over today on the show, a man who lost 9 people in this attack. 5 children, 4 women, 4 adult women, in the flood, rather. There are people who have died during the flood. We don't even know how many people we've lost. The only thing they say is so far they've recovered over 200 bodies. How many households, over 3,000 households have been displaced. But the feedback we're getting is it's not just the flood that is killing people. It's the silence after the flood that is killing them.
Yeah, you know, the first thing you must look at is the state prepared for this kind of emergencies?
Good question.
You know, are they well equipped? Because what you will see, if they are not there, they've been caught napping, they are not well equipped. The area that's been affected, they didn't even have a plan for it. It was not envisaged. And so everything will be silenced, because even the man who's supposed to be in charge of the emergency rescue is devastated himself, because he has no capacity to even imagine adequate response. You see, we believe, if you look at our society, we believe very much in the powers that be to protect us. And so even governments also have that kind of structure. You see people not having insurance, they tell you they did not even plan. It's not part of their prayer that the misfortune should come. So when an African society is affected, why the Western countries looking at just immediate inconvenience, they know the bill is paid by the insurance. But here we are not in that culture yet. Our insurance system has not been so encouraging enough for people to even trust it, where insurance practitioners see premium as profits. You know, we have a very multifaceted challenge. So when we hear what's happening in Niger, we shouldn't be surprised. Have we even checked if they have the facilities to respond to this kind of scale, magnitude?
Fine point. I think we also highlighted that in the course of the conversation. Have we checked? Are they able to respond on time? And like our reporter said, what's really killing the people is the duration, the time it's taking for response. We do hear that UNICEF is there. They set up a small space just to provide food for the people. But there's one problem I have as well, and I don't know if you also have this same problem, where when there's an emergency, a reporter broke it down that the government has sent people to give them rice. I remember I saw a post that said in Nigeria,
rice,
any problem,
give them
you have headache, rice.
Give them rice.
You are depressed, rice.
Give them chop rice.
Rice is a strong political statement, like in Liberia.
How do they cook the rice?
Yeah, you know, if you hear so many things, UNICEF will have to be there. I hope they are there effectively to respond, or not to showcase that they are there in order to attract further donations. We have to be, you know, life is not, it shouldn't be as hard as it is. We have not even heard what the local government have set up. We've not heard what state government have put together. We need to have, we need to stop talking politics and start talking development.
Thank you.
That is the only way you can solve national problems.
It seems like I mentioned as well earlier on, it seems like every single thing in our society is now being politically
Politicized,
driven. It's
yeah.
politicized. If you look at transportation, the minister is expected to do his job. The transport associations are expected to do their job, but they have to pledge allegiance to, the political party. Everything must be okay. Let's politicize this before we work. And the same thing, National Emergency Management Agency in Niger State. We did have one of the directors join us, and they also talked about the challenges they are facing. But it pretty much seems like nobody was ready for this, even though NIMET had sounded the warning months earlier. But let's go to our next paper very quickly. It has the Daily Times on the front page there. You can see Bill Gates himself. He has been conferred the honor national honor of the Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, CFR. There you see him. Of course, the richest man in Africa was there to ensure that he witnessed that. Tinubu's 2-year achievements, proof of visionary leadership, Information Minister says. We've seen that, of course, already. Automatic tickets to NAS members, APC addresses reports. Let's take that. Page 2 has it. The chairman of the All Progressives Party, talking about the APC, I beg your pardon, had come out to speak sparingly about a situation that many have talked about, and that's the case of having people defect, moving from one party A to the ruling party. And rumors came out earlier, I think it was also published by one of the papers when we're reviewing it here, that it was mentioned that those who are moving are giving, fat offers, including automatic. And don't forget that this statement was equally made on the edges of what the president himself had said when he went to the National Assembly. I don't know if you remember that word.
He said he used the 11th Assembly.
Exactly.
And he said now you're Assembly.
He said it was an error, and people said, oh, beautiful error. But he now said, don't worry, you are all elected.
Yes.
But now you have the chair of the APC coming out to say, no, we're not talking about automatic and so on and so forth. How do you review this back and forth and the holes in this?
If you are a big fish and you are coming from another party, there will be trade-ins, there will be negotiation. And so just imagine Governor Borewori moving from the PDP to APC. That one is obvious that there will be a deal that I get the automatic till no one contest me. So these deals are part of the deal, are part of the movement. It is depend on how powerful you are from where you are coming from, depend on what position you hold, depend on what you add to APC. You have to negotiate with those who are there already. And so that man who says no, it could be, but at the end of the day, it's still the same deal that a deal must take place.
So we're certain that a number of these big figures that are moved to the party are getting automatic tickets.
So what happens to Nigeria's democratic process?
The democratic process is what is going on. That is, you see, we always we always say democratic process. Every culture has its own democratic system, has its own democratic orientation.
Factory-fitted democratic system. That's made to measure.
Nigeria is practicing its own. Some other country might learn from us and change their system. After all, Ghanaians were not using certain technological devices that we're using until they looked at it and they used it and they did it better than we have ever used it. It exposed the fact that the system is good, but the people are bad. And you get to the point. Everything Nigeria subscribes to use. Fantastic. It's just the people. Once the Nigerian person confronts any system, he changes it. So this is also part of the
He becomes the auto manual.
Right? It changes form.
but wait. Okay, so what happens to INEC?
INEC is going to conduct election where demons are politicians. So you expect INEC you have to pray for INEC. You see, it's not just, let me explain to you.
Please break it down.
No, let me explain to you. If you want to be an umpire of an election for your staff of this particular organization, New Central, and they say you are the umpire for the election for staff union. And the guys have decided that when they get there, they will snatch the ballot box, they will injure someone and ensure they impose their man. But you get there and you put all the systems in place and they decided to do what they want to do. In what way is that really your problem? Sometimes we over-victimize INEC. we forget that the entire marketplace, election period is a marketplace in Nigeria.
Let me read
the same way exams are conducted, where everyone, the miracle centers are active, the teachers, supervisors who want to take bribe are all waiting to go into the trade.
Okay, I want you to react to something. You said that we overblame INEC.
Yeah, we overburden INEC with blames. Yeah.
Earlier today, we had the opportunity of speaking. We interviewed Kenneth Okonkwo, and then we had him react to a number of questions. He particularly blamed INEC for a number of things. He said that INEC is in cahoot with the APC, that INEC is just like another arm. They're doing the bidding of the APC. He talked about how, he blamed in some measure the destabilization we're seeing in the Labour Party on INEC and their lack of ability to interpret the Supreme Court judgment, stating that they were not able to do what they ought to do. They knew what to do, but they relaxed. So I don't think he's very excited about INEC.
Yes, I understand. I understand his bitterness with INEC, especially coming from the fact that he was an active member of the Labour Party when the glitch and all the other things happened. So he has not actually overcome that. I appreciate his point. If you look critically at Nigeria as a country, I'm just telling you that no matter how great your institutions are, if your people are bent on subverting every process without waiting to get the right outcome for themselves, no effort will be made that will work. So, because we will keep destroying the institution that we want to build without having any room, giving them any, we think they are perfect because they're organized. There can be errors. After all, an INEC official sent to Benue, he's the same person that we call the politicians that have been relocated there, can I see you? And let's talk. The same,
what are they talking
is a
about?
Nigerian. No, what to talk about the benefits it can give to you. Let me tell you, we are in a trade. Nigeria looks like go to a police station, an ordinary police station, bail is free, the policeman and his DPO, they will preside over the collection of money for bail. And they will have a POS operator around the station that's collecting money. Is that not a Nigerian?
Fact.
It's the simplest way.
Fact.
Somebody is at the semi-border checking people moving in and out. Somebody who is a criminal has no documentation for the trip. He goes through the process quicker than the one that has a passport. He is squeezed all over for presenting a passport. Why the one who didn't have evidence, no document that paid the money? We need to look at how a nation really developed than hacking down institutions because of the errors of the humans. The human development quality of Nigeria. Are we developing? Do we have the human beings that will take Nigeria to the growth we are seeking? That's the question.
Can, as it stands right now, can INEC be truly independent? That's one. But that's one of my questions. As we look at this story in the front page, can INEC be truly independent? Second question is, I don't know if you recall, just not too long ago, the 1993 elections that brought about the late MKO Abiola. It was mentioned that the former INEC boss, as at then, the late Humphrey Nwosu, failed to announce MKO Abiola as the winner, the results, because, I mean, he was told not to do so. Yeah. We've heard the stories and so on. So I'm trying to picture in my mind, he has been criticized, hence why they do not want to, celebrate
give him that honor.
Give him that honor. He's been criticized for not standing and doing the right thing at the right time, because it was said that history would never forget the role he played in Nigeria's democracy today. Can today's INEC, can it free itself from that previous mistake or error or shackles? I mean, we saw INEC announce results at 4 a.m. and that was a shock to Nigerians. And here we are going into another election, and then they've told everybody, don't worry, you're all elected. Doesn't it belittle INEC as just, I mean, it kind of took over, like Olive said, if you said it's just another arm of the current party.
What I want to say, I don't know if there is a time that election results should be announced. I don't know if 4 a.m. was not part of it, if it's out of the regulations. So announcing the result, you are collating, at any time you complete, you have to announce. And INEC is sticking to the rules. They are not. They have to go on with the election. They won't truncate the election. If INEC fails to announce the election, you can have crisis. INEC will be blamed. The election has to be announced. There are processes to redress. It's part of our laws. everybody will be emotional when it's time for election. INEC is not infallible, that's what I'm saying. It's not as if INEC is perfect. INEC will always do the correct thing because the human being, the human factor, there. Look at the one you are referring to, 1993.
Yeah.
Great election conducted. Option A4. The election umpire collating his result. The human being in the president, Babangida and co, truncated the election. Because these are the human factors where he doesn't have the interest of the nation at heart. Everyone that is subverting our systems have no love for this country. And where there is no love, there cannot be good. Love is missing. We don't think of the other and the tomorrow of a nation. So everybody is thinking of now and his opportunity. Then you never have it good. Because you refer to Kenneth Okonkwo talking about INEC. Yes, all of those things he raised, as far as it affects him, he's very angry with INEC. But if it affects others, is he as angry as that? So we need to be balanced and see that INEC work, I believe, primary school students can conduct election.
Someone said events planner.
Yes, because what is election? Is to collate the figures of the election and announce who has won. Unfortunately, even with professors, Nigeria is failing to be able to conduct. If that is the case, then how can we come out among nations and be proud when even in Ghana, you learning from Nigeria, deploying that, the elections were held, the human being in it sustained the electoral body. It doesn't mean there were no mistakes. But the human beings, the vice president, who was a contestant, had already considered defeat because he was also collating. Are you telling me Labour Party and all the other parties did not collate results on their own to be able to know the outcome of the election? Everybody collected. Why don't you come with your figures? Nigeria is, we try to muddy the water and think to just get an advantage.
Few.
Because all the parties in Ghana were collating. The newspapers, the radio stations are also allowed to collate.
But it seems like, we're supposed to use the BVAS, and then it was said that it will be transmitted. And what we saw on the IREF portal, it was quite different from what...
No, when you say the IREF is multiple, sometimes you see something right, you see, but the point is, have you collated?
Yeah.
If you come to TV, say, okay, I have 180-something results that are contradictory, it's easy. When you didn't collate, I didn't collate, we are all muddling the water, we are all shouting. All we do here is, once our institutions falter, people wanted jam scrapped because of an error we saw recently. People are now going after WAEC. Is there any reason why we want to damage the institutions just because we feel hot? Can't we just sustain them, correct their errors? Because institutions will develop as you keep following them, not to close them or wish them to be completely removed, because we are going for another election. People are already attacking INEC. And people are preparing for election that INEC will conduct, but INEC is being attacked, discredited, and yet you see politicians still gangling to the election. It beats me. If I have so much, if the quality of my confidence on INEC is so low, I will not participate in the election.
Okay.
That's another angle. Yeah, because...
But then again, when you say, and I hear you, when you talk about us not beating down these institutions because we're displeased by
not beating them, just wishing that they be closed down. Or,
yes. Yeah. That might not be a viable option. Sometimes I don't think it's necessarily because citizens want to hound these organizations as much. Sometimes it's also a factor of the first way to fix a problem is to call it for what it is. Okay. So without mincing words, without sugarcoating, telling them, look, this is how much of a terrible job you have done. So maybe that will serve as an inspiration to let them know, these people don't trust us. We need to sit up to ensure that the narrative and the impression that they have of us, we do not confirm it by our actions or our inaction.
That's true. I agree with you. But you see, if it's about being determined to be evil, and the more you speak, they want to still be evil, they will still have a way out. Love is important. If somebody say, I made a mistake, there was an error here, like our Isha Koloye, they did. People were even mocking him. People didn't even appreciate him for whatever he has done because they are affected. You know, the truth is that we don't give ourselves the benefit. I think we are too hard on ourselves in Nigeria, and we don't even appreciate how much progress we are making in spite of all the difficulties.
Anyway.
Okay. As we wrap up the newspaper front pages, I still want to take you a few more stories on the front page of the Daily Times. Nigeria Security and Political Economy Part 3, I believe that's an op-ed. 2 arrested in Anambra over attack on police, military operatives. Federal government, civil servants to federal government settle 10-month arrears by June 30 or ... What is the or? You get the paper to find out. Salah, Christian scholars join Muslims to clean Eid prayer ground. That's great. And finally here, withheld local government allocations. Osun State drags federal government to Supreme Court. This local government matter. It was in July that we got the Supreme Court judgment about that seemingly granted autonomy to the local government. But it would seem that the practicality or implementation of that is a far cry from what the reality is.
This is the point. You see again, something as straightforward and as simple as that, because of interest, the governors cannot stand another tier of government having executive budget control. They can't sleep.
Which is in the Constitution already.
Which is supposed to be something so easy that the local government chairman has his own budget. He can do the street lights in that area. Development will so spread. He can make sure the markets are of international standard. Yeah. Make sure the small feeder roads are tapped, little primary school. The governor want to have all the power, which is called the power centralization of the Nigerian political system, where the governor is the alpha and omega. He can't stand some local government chairman able to things. He can't stand it. That's what is going on. That's what is going on.
It's a problem. It's a problem. But taking them to the Supreme, you know, another thing is they're taking them to the Supreme Court. It is the same court that has said.
So the governor
go ahead
and implement it.
However, this is just one state. While Osun State is taking them to the Supreme Court, the federal government, Nigeria's chief CJN, had said that the processes of ensuring everything works is slow. That's not all. The what was his name? I'm trying to remember. Senior Advocate of Nigeria at the presidency as well. Is it Latif as well? He has also spoken on this, and he's also looking to ensure that the court's order stands. So, is it that we just have a clear negligence of what the court said, or has the court lost its prowess, its respect, its honor, and rule of law?
The courts become what they are once the human beings
start controlling to what?
They hold the court in what it is. What is going on? The court has made the declaration is for the executive to implement.
Now, they don't want to.
Because their fight is a battle. We are coming from a very deep dungeon. Nigeria went so down. Nigeria was really off. How this country continued to float to survive, because money was being thrown into the system. So people really were going on. It was not important whether rules were being kept. So long as you wake up, you flourish, you do well, you make your trips, you enjoy yourself. Nigerians felt that was development. This is why Nigerians are not respected all over the world. Because when we come there, we showcase the true temperature of our personality. And they now put us where we belong. Because they know you. We need to change. To obey law is simple. Make society beautiful. That's why when the Western countries, their presidents say we are going right, that day, you will know. Donald Trump said, I'm going to remove it. You know. That bar has reduced. You know. Going to the embassy to apply for a visa, and you have to check it with America you are going to.
Yes.
So, because the president said it is being done. When our president says something in Nigeria, someone somewhere will be giving reasons why it's not being done.
You know what? We have to get out of the studio.
And the word of our president is not law in Nigeria because some other official believe that it could be
manipulated in some measure.
So anyway,
we have to go now. Mr. Akatugba, thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us this morning. And thank you to our audience for joining us as well. We hope that you will make it a date with us tomorrow, as we'll be back to bring you the biggest stories around the country. I am Olive Emwadi.
And I'm Joe Hansen, thanking you for watching. See you again tomorrow. Jasiri is up next with the ladies. Stay tuned and good morning.